Hey guys, this is the Ecron Writer here, and welcome to another Thanksgiving special. The time of the Great Giving may have some questionable origins, and was mostly known for discovering the New World, as well as being associated with Native Americans, family gatherings, and in this case, feasts. Food is just as synonymous with the season, and since I happen to have a variety of tastes, I thought I should highlight my favorite types of food in video games. This everlasting media has an endless plethora of food, even those that don't exist IRL. So join me as I devour deep into this astronomical cornucopia. Join in this filling fiasco, and I hope I can make your mouths water here. For this list's appetizer, we got an interesting choice: the Poe Souls from the Zelda series. Making their edible debut in Ocarina of Time, a Poe can be chased and shot down within the desolate landscapes of Hyrule Field. If Link is successful, then the Poe dissipates and shatters its lantern, revealing their glowing spirit. If he should choose to trap it in a bottle, he can actually drink it, resulting in a random effect, by either refilling a short series of hearts, or in worst cases, drain one or a series of them till there's merely half a heart left. I don't rely on Poe Souls to replenish energy, so I often let them go. They can also be sold to the Poe Collector when Link's an adult and wants to run a business with him, as a regular Poe would give him 10 rupees, while the rare bait Poes would earn him 50 rupees and 100 points. And if he gets all 10, he'll receive an empty bottle for 1,000 points. I'd much rather sell the Poe Souls or let them go than consuming them. Just the thought of it makes me cringe, as it reminds me of drinking one of those disgusting stool softeners. And it can technically be a metaphor in drinking spirits, as in drinking alcohol in a freaking Zelda game. Haha. Black! If that's truly these cases, I prefer to let them haunt the world. Good God! Our next entree in this menu is the T-Rex meat from Joe and Mac. They're a very abundant delicacy located throughout the world, and can often be dropped whenever Joe or Mac shall kill an enemy, excepting bosses. Each specific baddie drops their own piece of meat, such as cavemen or pterodactyls dropping a small T-bone, or if a miniature T-Rex shall drop one of those rare juicy thick steaks. If you're lucky, you can find a whole motherload of them in a bonus level, though you must hurry if they touch the ground. It transfers you out. Each piece of protein would gain Joe and Mac's life energy, dictating from whatever meat is absorbed. The smaller pieces refill a light portion, while the more larger steaks refill humongous amounts. There may be some that are capable of re-energizing their energy entirely. I always wondered what the heck prehistoric meat tastes like, especially from a carnivore. Maybe they do have more nutrients than herbivores or early sapiens. Perhaps they pack more flavor and tenderness too, which is something I look for in meat. I'm not a vegetarian, but it's more likely I'll prefer vegetables amongst other edibles over meat. Both Yoshi and Kirby have a common delicacy, as they often eat various baddies, but I definitely pick these delicious snacks in the Mario and Yoshi series any day, as Yoshi often eats and digests them, rather than absorbs and mimic its powers. Anyway, as I stated in my related characters list, I too have a huge and various appetite. Oftentimes he'd snack on an enemy and sometimes give the heroes a 1-up as a reward, at least in Mario World. He too can eat shells, but technically not swallow them till after a while. Those various creatures like the Goombas, fish, piranha plants, Rexes, even enemies bigger than them like mini-moles, even Chargin' Chuck's balls. Much like the T-Rex meat, I sometimes wonder what they taste like. I'm sure the plants taste like any fresh veggie, and the berries can taste like any real berry. But I speculate maybe the Goombas can taste like chocolate, or the mini erupting dinos can be more so the spicy specimens. Or maybe the moles can taste similar to a bread or something, I don't know. But ever since I was a wee lass, the vast food choices was one of the qualities that had me fascinated with Yoshi, ever since Super Mario World. I'll always love that cute little hungry dinosaur oh so much. Here's something that's never been brought up. Fur fighters and those delicious, nutritious cans of pet yums. They are the types of food provided to each of the fluffy heroes, replenishing their energy and vitality throughout the world. Even more than those gold and silver tokens which don't recover very much. General Bristol himself said it's preferred to 8 out of 10 platoons, and were actually distributed by Vigo Industries. Hard to believe the enemy shall sponsor them. Heck, they're even advertised from time to time because of their deliciousness and nutrition, and each size replenishes different levels of energy. There's the Junior Pet Yums, which increase 20 hit points, the normal size Pet Yums, which restore 50 points, the Super Pet Yums, which restore 100 points, and of course the rarer Pet Yums Plus, which is said to recover 200 points. Unfortunately, since the fur fighters are supposed to have a set amount of HP, the 200 plus steadily decreases when you take a hit or not. Lousy limitations. I may speculate the pet yums to be no different than, say, tuna fish or perhaps other types of pet food, like dog, cat, or fish food. Geez, sometimes I get curious on what pet food actually does taste like. It may not be edible for humans, but I am adventurous. There is no possible way the fresh, tasty bananas cannot be on this list. They're probably the most non-ambiguous entree in this here menu. After all, they're the most common item ever in the DKC juggernaut, even its spin-off games like Diddy Kong Racing, and even several Mario titles. They can be found virtually everywhere in each level throughout Kong Island, Crocodile Isle, and elsewhere. They're probably the most adaptable, non-perishable food item in the entire gaming multiverse. Contrary to what we have. The bananas are what motivated the Kongs in their first adventure, after the Kremlings stole them in one stormy night, just to make their adversaries starve, kind of like Ganondorf taking away the Goron's food supply. The bananas are not only the most valuable and common collectible, but really versatile too. They can sometimes guide the Kongs to secrets or preserve their journeys by conjuring extra life balloons, when 100 are collected. Hell, they can be used as weapons like those slippery banana peels in Mario Kart games to disable go-karts momentarily, whether singular or in lethal bunches. Sometimes it looks as if the cart took a crap.
You in the bathroom? First.
I hadn't discovered the latter entries yet, but they appear to be legendary items, and for good reason. Overall, the bananas can't possibly be ignored. They can be found virtually anywhere, even in the most harshest terrains like over pits and intense environments. They're helpful to the Kong's quests. The banana birds are just as fond of them like all the animal buddies, and are just plain delicious and versatile like corn. You don't need to be a monkey's uncle to appreciate them. We are getting down to the nitty-gritty in the top 5 entrees. The honeycombs from Banjo-Kazooie is where it's at. The sticky, tasty honey energy was just irresistible, and they're the most common items throughout Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie. Even more than notes, eggs, and feathers, both Banjo and Kazooie rely on these delicious pieces for their survival, much like the other entries. The duo start with around 5 honeycombs, and each unit can be increased whenever they find 6 extra honeycomb pieces in order to increase their stamina by 1 unit. In maximum, they collect up to 16 in their first adventure, 10 in their second, and 8 in Grunty's Revenge. And these delicacies are often found either by decimating enemies with beehives being the most prominent, and throughout each section in Grunty's lair. It's no question Rare has chosen such a scrumptious specimen, as the main character is indeed a honey bear, along with the burgle, and honey does tend to last forever. No joke. Man, this is so much better than collecting them for reals, and it kinda makes me wish for me to taste some honey too, whether it be in suckles, in tea, or whatever it shall be. No wonder the hungry hero can't get enough of it, even if he should eat too much to make him chubbier and in the mood for hibernation. Hey, see some for me too! I don't want to go into a dangerous beehive. I'm a Melissa-phobic! A lot of the food entrees on this list were either ambiguous or for reals. But it's so rare that we get to see a type of food that can actually bite back. Case in point, Taffy, aka Taffy Man from Clay Fighter. This was the first time that Clay Fighter ever made it on my lists, and it's easy to see why. It's one of the first games I'd beaten, and the slob of goo is so flexible that his greatest strength lies in his elasticity during combat, almost like Mr. Fantastic. Much like me, he too is quite the sweet tooth, as he absolutely adores candy, cakes, and sweets, which is ironic since he loves those unhealthy treats, which may even be like his saltwater physique. And because he is a piece of candy who relishes in his fructose, he absolutely abhors the dentist. No wonder since the inspector mounts and put Taffy and his residue in peril. He too despises Bonker, who stole the show from him at the Clay Fighter Circus. Either way, next to Ichabod Clay, Bonker, and the Blob, he has quickly become a favorite of mine. Although one thing's for certain, Taffy can pack some powerful punches, both inside and outside, attempting to always damage your jaw. It's kind of like that vicious ball of candy that attacks Super Boo in Dragon Ball Z. This message may convey that candy can be bad for you, so watch out. Maybe a ball of sugar and desires to entertain, but he's sure ain't sweet if you dare cross him. There are several types of food located throughout dinosaur planets, so I'll simply consider them as just the general saurian foods. During his expedition on putting the world back together, Fox comes across some delicious and nutritious snacks. The first one being the double dang pods, which are said to resemble cocoa beans in terms of shape and texture, despite their lime color and orange ridges. They're the most basic food, as one would only restore 2 units of Fox's health, aside from a thorntail saying how they're a great source of energy. Their more vital counterpart, the puck-puck eggs, recover 4 units of health, and they're known as the sharp-claw's delicacy. They also tend to be found within their crates and often mate with puck-puck birds to attain that tasty treat. While they heal more, they're not entirely uncommon. Both the puck-puck eggs and the double dang pods can be purchased at the Thorntail store, though there's really no point if you can find them throughout the world. Oftentimes they can be found in Thorntail Hollow, occasionally the latter at the Krazoa Palace in crates, and the pods can be knocked down from their own trees. Even those small barrels often house those tasty treats. Much like another restorative item, they're vital for Crystal and Fox's treks in Sauria. Same goes with Tricky's grub tufts. And I sometimes wonder if that's what we had during the prehistoric era, along with the said T-Rex meat. Only one can figure. While they may not be seen to the casual eye, the potions made it as the 9th main course for this menu. The potions are those powerful drinks that are capable of healing the user if one, or his own team, can take a critical amount of damage. Those tonics or cures are only capable of recovering a small amount of hit points, and can either be bought in shops, randomly in the overworld, mostly in towns, dungeons, or castles, or dropped by enemies. They come in a variety of sizes and capabilities when it comes to re-energizing the party, though they're not used for status ailments. For example, potions are just their basic counterparts, while high potions, mega potions, and X potions heal more than they sell. Literally. On rare occasions, though, they can actually cause damage to certain aspects, like if a certain enemy such as Dr. Luge uses the reversing effects and changes the user's strategy in a moment's notice. Or they can actually be used on undead enemies since they're products of life. Heck, they seem to be the most convenient if it comes to healing you and your team, as magic spells take longer to conjure and waste a considerable amount of MP. So consider them as an absolute must if you need them on the fly. However, while it's used for healing, it can't bring someone back from the dead, nor heal any hindrances like poison or paralysis. While it's often known to heal a certain amount of HP, it does restore the user fully along with their EX gauge in some of the spin-offs, like Dissidia or Theatrhythm. Like other speculative products, I wonder what these taste like. Though ironically, there was actually a Japanese energy drink made back in 2008, known as the Potion Energy Drink. Made by Suntory to celebrate Dissidia, Final Fantasy XII, and the 10th anniversary of 7. The elixir was its close relative to coincide with the release of 13. So, I guess those hyper soft drinks make the most sense. Bottom line, the potions are just too good to be wasted. Their vitality and restorative properties makes them take the 9th main course. And since they're more reliable than the Poes, I'll consider them over the cursed souls any day. Alright, we counted the last 9 entrees on this menu, but before we get to the final course, let's bring out some Honorable Dejours.
Yeah?
Well, mamma mia! The super mushrooms earn themselves as the last main course on the menu. And why not? They're the most famous renowned food item ever in the history of video games. Even iconic as Mario himself. Ever since their debut in the OG Super Mario Bros., they'd been an instant favorite. Fans and fanatics everywhere can't get enough of these vital veggies. Whether it turned Mario into Super Mario by enlarging him, allowing him to break blocks and having more resistance to enemies, or the green variant gaining an extra life, or finding the Mega Mushrooms debuted in the 3D titles. While they're a staple item, others can power up the Mario Bros such as fire flowers, feathers, and certain suits. And just like the bananas, they can be used for other means. A perfect example would be the speed mushrooms in Mario Kart, letting racers have a boost of speed. In most RPGs, they can be used as ingredients to make potions, or simply recover a certain amount of HP. In Smash Bros, they enlarge the user for a short period of time and increases their fighting prowess. Or certain other variants can attain specific other power-ups, but they're not always beneficial. Beware of the other colored variants, as the purple or gray ones mark death by either shrinking the bros or causing an instant fatality. The yellow ones, especially in Mario Kart, make the user shrink for a short time, leaving him or her vulnerable to onslaughts. There's also a status ailment which turns the hero into a mushroom, also letting him or her be vulnerable. It just depends on the texture and uses each variant has. Still, I wonder if they were inspired by those in Alice in Wonderland, as the fantastical alien fungi are known to enlarge her as well. Hell, I'm quite certain that Miyamoto was actually intrigued by this, thus Mario's capabilities, as well as closely resembling the real fly agaric mushrooms, possessing their red tops with white evenly distributed specks after they'd matured. They must be the main reason and striking resemblance. Gloves down! However, they're known to have a poisonous and hallucinogenic effects, but I'll always consider the genuine nutritious variety. In fact, just like Popeye was with spinach, both he and Mario piqued my interest on trying them for reals, and thus they become my favorite types of food ever since I was young, even on pizza or other things. It might be possible they can resemble uncooked shrooms instead of the drug-addicted ones, but no matter how they're produced, whether baked, raw, cooked, or sautéed, the mushrooms, real or not, are my all-time favorite type of food in video games. I'm the Ecron writer, and I hope all those entrees made your mouths water or your stomachs churn. For this season of thanks, aside from family gatherings, food is a very important factor. Eat hearty and well, and have a happy Thanksgiving to all my viewers out there.
Food.
Food! Food!
Hey, we're absolutely not going.